The way that can be followed is not the eternal way. The name that can be named is not the eternal name.
Talking about wellness or well-being, very important is the well-being by means of mentality, how you think, the way of your thinking.
So Lao Tzu, who was supposed to be the author of the Tao Te Ching, he is a very influential figure in Chinese philosophy. We don't know enough about him. We know that we believe that he existed in the Eastern Zhou dynasty around the 6th century BCE. And some people believe he was a legendary figure, but later, Sima Qian, in the records of the Grand Historian, believed that Lao Tzu was a scholar and an archivist in the imperial court. And he got disillusioned by the chaos and the corruption in society, and therefore he decided to leave society. And he went in search of peace and solitude. So during his travels, when he came across the western entrance to the state of Qin, a gatekeeper named Jinzi recognized his wisdom, and he asked him to leave his wisdom in some form of a record, and that's how we believe the Tao Te Ching started, even though over the years it has developed, it's been adapted, and we have today a very special document. And the thing, we've actually done a podcast on the philosophy of the Tao before, and the thing that visual which I cannot forget, which I remember, was this visual of water. And this visual of water flowing and going through all kinds of rocks, and the strength of the water, but the flexibility at the same time. That beautiful visual where even if you have a very hard, strong rock, over the years, the rock gets softened by the flow of the water. I think the Tao Te Ching talks about effortless action here, or Wu Wei. It talks about yielding in the face of adversity. It talks about finding inner peace, about embracing simplicity, about leading by example. It's a beautiful text or scripture that helps us today when we are going through such complex times. Welcome to Sacred Texts, Timeless Wisdom, which is part of our series of Ancient Wisdom for Modern Living. I'm your host, ANSHU Bahanda, and as you've probably figured out, today we're going to talk about the Tao Te Ching. To do that, we have Master Gu with us. He's a Taoist master and practitioner. He spent years bringing the knowledge of this wonderful scripture to the people, and he's also spent years trying to teach people to live with ease, away from struggle and tension and strife. Welcome to the chat, Master Gu. Thank you for making the time to be here with us today.
Okay, me too, very much.
So, Master Gu, I want to ask you, before beginning my questions, can you explain the essence or the core of the Tao Te Ching to us?
The essence of Tao Te Ching is yin-yang balance. Yin-yang balance. Well, if the society, or if through different dynasties, generally speaking, the society or the people always present something we say yang, it's overmuch yang. Tao Te Ching, you can find Lao Tzu advocate very much yin. So, of course, Lao Tzu, generally speaking, Taoist culture teach us the art of balance, yin-yang balance. But from Tao Te Ching, we see very much like yin. Why? Why? Because Lao Tzu observed the society, observed the earthly world. Generally speaking, it's very much yang. In order to find the real balance, Lao Tzu advocate between the big and small. Lao Tzu advocate small. Between much and few. Lao Tzu advocate little. Between action and non-action. Lao Tzu advocate non-action. In general speaking, the essence is about yin-yang balance.
So, Master Gu, can you tell me what is the relevance of the Tao Te Ching today? Why is it that so many people still resonate with it and still use it?
Firstly, people found Tao Te Ching. This is the book of brevity, but of abundance. Different people from this familiar text found something differently meaningful for them. So those people who are to practice, they found something. It's quite like a hint for internal practice. Those people from military circle, they found some like a guidance to win a victory. And those from the ruler of sovereignty, this is something for us to follow. Anyway, people would find that's the glamour. How Tao Te Ching is charming. It's quite just like one of the Western philosophers pointed out. Tao Te Ching from China, it's just like endless bubbling spring of wisdom. Always there's the water of wisdom coming out. Despite the nationality, despite of the race, different color, whatever, there's one thing remain very much in common. That is, all human beings like to live long and live well. And the Tao, the yin balance act helps people chiefly for the purpose to live the quality of human being's life. So that's why in the hip action for people coming abroad.
Wonderful. And tell me, where are you based? I know you're based in China. Where exactly in China are you?
Central China's Wudang Mountains. Wudang, this is one of the top 4 sacred lands for Chinese Taoism. Was always village, the Qingchengshan in Sichuan province, Wudangshan, this mountain in Hubei province, Lunhushan in Jiangxi province. It has so many different elements like religion, philosophy, martial arts, health preservation, wellness. Almost everyone like culture, they can expect to find something they are fascinated about.
Oh, fantastic. So it's like a home for culture and the Taoist philosophy, is it? Where you live?
Yes. We say, when we talk about Taoism, there's the philosophical aspect and the religious aspect. Common people coming to Wudang, probably they think there are different temples, practices. There are also monasteries, Taoist priests. There are some Taoist religious activity being even today. But that's just the religious aspect. As a matter of fact, since the Jin, the classics came into being, it is all regarded as mostly the philosophy, the way, for people to find wisdom, to live wisely, how to live wisely. So we, including most people, including me, are very much associated to Taoism in a philosophical way. If I can be called a Taoist, I'm very philosophical Taoist rather than religious Taoist.
Yes. So on that note, I want to ask you something very intrinsic to the Taoist culture is this whole concept of effortless action or going with the flow, But what we find a lot in the Western world today, particularly, is you're constantly struggling and you're constantly hustling. And, it's a very different culture. This thing about you have to get a certain amount of productivity. What would you say as a Taoist to people who are doing this today in the Western world?
Even in China, we say we have Chinese civilization coming from the ancient till today. There are 2 lines parallel till today. One is quite much Confucianism, The one is Taoism. I think these are the two different nutritions for Chinese civilization. The Confucianism is very much good for the maintenance of the society, the different sovereignty or different dynasty. It cares very much social structure, the stability of a social structure. In Confucianist world, people just very much thriving to be richer than before, higher social status than before, to be better than others, something like that. Mostly in the term of materialism. Why Taoism? Yeah. Taoism is something paradox? What's that here?
Paradoxical, yes.
Paradoxical. And if the whole world is very much like yang, as you know, to be fast is good, but it's over fast. It's too fast. It's not good. A vehicle, a car or truck, if it's over excessively fast, it might be, to be very over. In the West, as you say, or in very long time, contemporary China, it's quite like people very busy, and yes, we see the result of people's so much work, so much struggle, or even over much greed, I should say, because it's too much. We don't see like people feel happy enough. Even many people find like something like very hard to live. So as early as 5 years ago, so but now to just ask people to do something reverse, to be that high, be lower, or at least you can find something valuable about be lower. Don't be that fast. We find something. Lao Tzu always say, 人弱胜刚强, to overcome to overcome hardness with softness. Why are people always advocate, appreciate, thriving, to work hard, to be diligent, to take action? Lao Tzu advocate like non-action or effortless action. This is just something very mild, very valuable advice for people to achieve real happiness, because that case, people can become mankind become more balanced. That's my opinion.
Something you just said, I want you to explain that more for people listening. And you while we were researching this, I found that the Taoist philosophy and the Tao Te Ching talks a lot about paradoxes. Exactly what you talked about, paradoxes, where they say the way up is down, or to overcome hardness, like you said, with softness, or the way to strength is through yielding. So can you explain paradoxes a little more to me? And how it's used to achieve what people want to in their lives?
Yeah, we say the heaven, the earth, male, female, summer, winter, daytime, nighttime, and hard. The most important pair of such paradox is Wu and Yu. You know this? Wu means nothing. Little nothing. Zero. Yu means something, or having something, or being, anyway. So Lao Tzu think this is the biggest paradox pair. In very first chapter, these two paradoxical stuff, Lao Tzu has already started to talk about. He say, 无名天地之始，名万物之母. Like just to see people, common people, most people, we just cast our eyes. Most people cast the eyes for something very concrete. They would cast something visible. But Lao Tzu named Dao. It's something you cannot hear, something you cannot see, something you cannot touch, and this is the Dao. This is so great, so you cannot hear, you cannot listen, you cannot touch. But this is like nothingness or emptiness. In Taoism, it advocates something like a little number rather than big number. One, we have the term one and oneness. This is a very philosophical term. And even zero or empty or nothingness. So from nothingness, we have Wu Wei, literally. In Wu Wei, we see the term Wu. Of course, Wu Wei today we know it is nothing. Where you do nothing, you just simply do nothing. It's most wisest action, or the way of action is effortless, or go with flow, go with the flow. And so long as you know, if you don't understand Laozi's Wu Wei, it's something like lazy, the excuse for being lazy, then you understand it's actually quite something to help you find a good balance, to achieve, to take action in the right time, right way, to achieve the right purpose you need.
How would you say we can apply this philosophy today when people are having major relationship issues? There are so many mental health problems in the world. Leadership is just, people's concept of leadership has changed so much from the Tao Te Ching times where leadership was by example. So how can we use the strength and flexibility of water to help us?
From the Taoist perspective, if one is very Taoist minded, of course he would advocate the Taoist way. If a leader, to lead the country in the Taoist way. If he is in a director of a military war, he would probably find to go with the flow. Or the leader of a company, the general manager of a company, or even if you are a parent of a family, you would find the way. Of course, not everyone can follow this way. It's a pity. But there are people who would appreciate the Taoist way, and they really agree the Taoist way. They have the recognition of the Taoist way. There are people, if they don't follow, if they just think the dominance, like some leaders of some country, which I will not name, right? They will finally they find it's actually very hard for them. For a short term, they can read something with their dominance, with their very much powerful right. They are just too superstitious about that. Just let it be. They will soon find a bitter fruit of themselves. If they can, as early as possible, adopt the Taoist way, they will find they can achieve the result and in an easy way.
So what would you advise them to do?
I am a Taoist, a philosophical Taoist. Of course, I would suggest them to do it like water. The water seemingly soft. The water even always unlike a human being, just go up and up. Water, very important feature of the water is going down. Water has the tendency going down. But Lao Tzu see the virtue of water. And he even say the supreme virtue is like water. So I quite agree with it. In my life, always I find I'm staying in the favorable position because I'm just learning from water.
So you're saying always look around you and learn from what is around you, from nature, particularly water.
Yes.
And how would you apply this philosophy to say so much stress and anxiety and mental health issues that exist today? How can you apply the Taoist philosophy or the teachings of the Tao Te Ching to help people?
because I'm the founder of Wudong Taoist Wellness Academy, talking about wellness or well-being, very important is the well-being by means of mentality, how you think, the way of your thinking. And if we have found through the many what happened around us in a society, many tragedies happen. This happening seems to be because people are too nervous, are not balanced-minded. And if we go with the flow, if we stay calm, if we can find inner peace with the Taoist, the guidance from Taoism, we can avoid many tragedies. We can avoid many conflicts. Why not?
And what about relationships? Because people are struggling more and more with their relationships as well. What would you say there? How can the Taoist philosophy help them? And what in the Taoist philosophy, what particularly if they adapted, will help them?
Taoism, chiefly for the purpose, the Taoist cultivation is for the purpose to achieve harmony. Harmony means the harmony between you and yourself, harmony between you and others, harmony between mankind and the nature. So very importantly is between you and others. That's the relationship. So I hope every one of the human beings, or as many as possible, if they can become very Taoist minded, then we will have a more peace among people, for sure. Because like the water does not contain. If you put the water in a cup shape, okay, it become a cup. If you put the water in a square shape box, okay, the water becomes square shape. If you put the water in whatever, the water become whatever shape. The water never feel like satisfied. The water never complained. The water never yelled, "Oh no, I don't like this. I would break hole. I don't like this." No. So if we all learn from water, you firstly yourself will become very comfortable, peaceful, and then others also feel very comfortable, all feel peaceful.
You said something very important, Master Gu. You said that you talked about harmony and how we need to find harmony within ourselves, not just outside. That, to me, is the essence of all our relationships. That we're at peace with ourselves. That will help our external relationships.
You are right, of course. When we talk about the harmony, 3 layers. Harmony between one and oneself, harmony between one and others, harmony between man and the nature. The foundation is actually between one and oneself. If each one firstly deal with the relationship, you and harmonious, naturally you will become like harmful with others.
So can you give us a tool to help us achieve harmony between us and ourselves? Some simple tool?
If you are not harmony, yes, somebody simply feels surprised or don't understand. Well, I am not just happy with myself. Maybe does not happen to this person, but it happens to many in today's world. Many people simply feel always the fault for himself, or one simply always keeps fighting with himself. Two situations. For example, Jack. Jack is sitting here. Heart, his eye is there. A place higher than here. What's that? He simply always think, oh, why shouldn't I be that position, that higher position? You see, George and me, Jack, we were from the same village. Why today his position is so high with me? His ability doesn't seem as much as me. I simply don't feel, I don't understand. Something wrong. So Jack keeps feeling jealous. His heart is there. His human being is here. His heart is there. There are two Jacks. The two conflicts makes him imbalanced. Another situation, Jack sitting here, his heart is down there. What's that? Oh, why? Why am I so low? Why am I so... oh, I'm not able to. That's to say, he cannot find the for himself. He simply see too much negative about himself. So these are the two situations. So how to achieve harmony between one and oneself? He must change these two situations. Wrap that Jack to here. Wrap the Jack to here. Being together. Or we say 天人合一. First, you should be united with yourself as one. So that's why we say in this oneness, inverse oneness. Your physical body is here, your spirit should be also here. Come together. That's very important.
Could you give me a step-by-step process to achieve this oneness with ourselves?
Like mathematics, we have you add the numbers, you deduct the numbers. Here in Taoism, we say to do deduction, to make it less or lessen the temptation. We have ears, we have eyes. Of course, we're able to hear, we're able to see. But for motivation, if you care more about something internal, we should have this information in a moderate way. Don't have excessively too much into the eyes, into the mouth. So that's why, fasting is okay for human being. Because if we are the Taoist, the Fu practitioner, or a Qigong practitioner, we can absorb qi, we absorb energy from the universe. So we can eat less, listen less, or reduce the amount through these different channels, different senses, to tranquilize your heart. Like if very practical, you say, what can I do? I do more meditate. Yeah, stay in a place of tranquility, peace and quiet, or most importantly, keep you internally peace. That's something very practical. And once in go ahead. Once in a while, go away from your work to hear the call, to hear the hint from the nature. Because we human beings, we are from nature. We later will go back to nature. We must not disconnect this relationship.
So you said use your senses less when you can.
Yeah.
Tranquilize your heart by meditating. Try and find peace within. And be closer to nature.
Yeah.
So Master Gu, I want to ask you, how would you make the Tao Te Ching relevant to the future generations? What are your challenges there? What is it that helps you?
In these classics, all those great masterpieces, we can use this term. Like 圣经 about a Christian, and 道陀经 and the 南华经 清净经 to different religion, different culture, but that number one book in Chinese is also Yi Jing. So classics, these kind of books has the feature, has one thing in common. They can be down generation after generation. They always have its value. We have a saying, 道通天地，德万古今。道德经 Here's the book. You can see that this?
Yes, I can see Tao Te Ching. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I can see it. Yes.
Okay. So 道德经 we say 道通天地德贯古今 which means Tao is so brand is actually permeate between the heaven and earth. Although that's it, you can't hear it, but it is between heaven and earth. There is, however, human being think, speak, or act. That's something coming together to present based on your graspery of Tao. That's however human being, all everything coming out. That is De. Dao is the like a reason. De is like a result. Yeah, De is like a power based on the Dao. Then human being's power, sort of. This is quite like it in the old history. Even in future, Dao still exists. The world is always there. So, 道德经 is for people in the past, nowadays, and in future. So long as human beings like to live long and live well, they find the essence, they will find the nutrition from 道德经, the classics.
Thank you. And for those people listening who haven't listened to the Taoist Philosophy podcast, just explain Tao once more, this fundamental principle of all life.
Literally, it means the way. But this is not something the very concrete way, so for people to walk on. Dao also does not really means the way to do something, like how to make a flower, how to make an incense, how to make a tea. So Dao, this is the universal way, the grand way for all mankind, individual or collective people. The common people, the people or the ruler of the people. Dao. People all need to find his own Dao or the way. And one to such a level have the prosperity, really get to the Dao. That's really the level of happiness. So Dao kind of key, a general key, a very useful key, or the universal law for people, for mankind to follow. That is Dao.
Lovely. Universal way for mankind to follow. That's wonderful. I would love you to leave us with your favorite verse from the Tao Te Ching.
That is chapter 8, as you know. Chapter 8, 上善若水. I would read the original verse in Chinese for people, for listeners to hear. In 2,500 years ago, by the this philosopher, how he has his utterance of this beautiful verse. 上善若水，水善利万物而不争，处众人之所恶，故几于道。居善地，心善渊，与善人，言善信，正善治，事善能，动善时，夫为不争，故无忧。That's it. So in English, it's like, well, people, the listeners can find their own version of translation. Like a supreme good is like water. Water greatly benefits all things without conflict. It flows through places that follows. Thereby, it is close to the way. In spelling, a good dwelling is on the ground. A good mind is deep. A good gift is, well, this version translation is not that good. A good word is sincere. A good ruler is just. A good worker is able. A good deed is timely. Where there is no conflict, there is no fault.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And how many verses, how many chapters are there in the Tao Te Ching?
There are 81 chapters. 81. So can you see here?
Right.
81.
Yes. So there's 81 chapters and each chapter has a certain number of verses.
Each chapter is like one verse.
Okay.
So
Lovely.
totally, this is not a big book. This is just with 500 Chinese characters. This for sure is not a big book, but on the other hand, it's a grand book, you know.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Master Gu. That's been such an enlightening session.
Oh, me the same, thank you.
What an amazing conversation this has been. Thank you so much, Master Gu, for your insights, for your profound wisdom. I hope we can apply it. I hope we can learn more about the yin-yang balance, about flexibility, about strength that comes through flexibility, about the peace that comes when we reach this balance. And to our listeners, I hope you're going to take away some incredible advice that has been given today. What I'm going back with is the simplicity, the peace, the balance. And I want to read out a little bit from the Tao Te Ching today, which is, the soft overcomes the hard, the gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. Thank you for being here for Ancient Wisdom for Modern Living, Sacred Text, Timeless Wisdom. Until next time, may you find peace, may you find balance, may you be happy. Thank you.